everyone, this is Lori from the Crafting Auntie. I am here today creating this gorgeous journal, and I am using Carolyn Musings Grace in the Fire kits. Now there's a main journal kit, there is a kit with vertical, and I think there's horizontal papers in it too, for sure verticals. And there's a additional add-on ephemera kit. There's also a fussy cut kit, and there's also a writing pages kit. So I wanted to use all of them because they're so beautiful. There's so much gorgeous colors. You can see by the cover here that I have. And so I have just basically used as much as I could of the kits. I didn't add a whole lot of extra things like laces or things like that into this journal. I really wanted to focus on using as much as I could of all of the kits that she put together in this gorgeous series, Grace in the Fire. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you some things that, some ideas. And I've done a lot of the decorating on my own. This is a rounded spine journal that I've put together, and I will link the video below that I showed you how to do the rounded spine in one of the other videos I did for Carolyn. So this is just a gorgeous journal. I had to do this project. I had to share with all of you, and so I hope you enjoy it. And we'll get going here. We'll do some of the projects on the inside. I'll show you what I've done, and then a final flip through at the end. Okay, so I've got everything all put together. I just thought I would show you some decorating things. So we'll do the cover, and let me just show you what I did on the spine. So I had some scripture stamps. The top one says, "I am always with you," Matthew 28:19 through 20. "All things work together for good to them that love God," Romans 8:28, "and do not let your hearts be troubled, and do not be afraid," John 14:27. So I have a couple of these flowers from the kit. I thought I would put those there. So I'm going to go ahead and put those on so that they can dry. So I came up with an idea. I had seen it on another channel, and I thought it would be fun to add to this. So this is a belly band, but it's a slider. So it slides up and down, and I just thought it'd be fun to show you guys how to do this. So I'm going to put this in the journal as well. And then I have a couple of these butterflies, and I have this belly band that I want to use for the next one. So the main thing we want to make sure is our height. So I wanted to go from the let me turn this over so I can write on it. I wanted to go from the top to the bottom on a page, and I've made all the pages the same size. So let's just cut this. Try to see if I can do this evenly with my scissors. Perfect. Okay, so the way this works is you need to make an opening. So if you'll see on this one, I have quite a gap here, which is perfect because you need that in order for this to slide perfectly. And then we're going to make a little mechanism out of just some scrap paper. So the first thing I want to do is take my X-Acto knife and my ruler, and we are going to cut this area right here. I think this was intended to fold in half, so I thought it would be perfect to use it for this. So we have an opening like this. This one's a little bit wider, but that's okay. It should work okay. So the next thing you want is a piece to become the mechanism. So I'm just going to use this because then that way it's got a pattern when it comes up through the top. So all you need to do is you're going to fold it over about, I gotta remember how I did this, about, what are we at? About an inch and 5/8. And then we're going to fold it again about the same distance. It doesn't have to be completely perfect. So I just want to make sure how much I've got sticking out. Let me just cut this down, and that way I can adjust this. I'm just kind of winging it on it. It's kind of how I usually do things. I think you know that by now if you're following me. Then I want you to just fold this back. That's probably about a 1/2 inch, maybe 5/8. And let's just put it in here just so we get a feel for what we're looking at. So this is going to be our mechanism. So now I have way too much on this other side. So let's try to get about the same distance. Let's see. Fold it like that. Cut this off. I know it's a little confusing, but I'll give you some measurements here in just a second. And then we're going to fold these back. So we have kind of like this little wings. So my whole piece here is 4 inches by an inch and 3/8. So 4 inches by 1 3/8. Fold it just a little bit over an 1.25 inches, and then fold it over again. So you end up with this little square. Then fold back the flaps, and this creates the mechanism. So if I put this in here like that, it should slide freely. So you've got this kind of action. Looks like this on the back. This is probably a little bit too wide, so maybe just a little bit narrower like I did on this one. But I plan on putting a couple of butterflies on this, so that'll give us something to slide it up and down with. So you don't glue anything, just put this on here. And then take your butterflies. So I also have those flower stem centers, and I thought I would use that also for the butterfly. I organized recently, so I have all them organized so I can find them. So I'm thinking maybe just this cream color would look nice rather than blue. The other one has blue. I'm just going to use one because I'm going to put it on the bottom butterfly, and then I'm going to pop up the other butterfly on top, so with a little bit of foam tape. So let's just go ahead and put this guy on here, and I'm just going to use some tape. Grab my tape here. Something on that, so let me get a clean piece here. And then I just want to put it behind All right, I'm going to go ahead and glue this one. Let me just straighten out this antenna. I'm not happy with it. Let me redo it a little better. That's better. I'm going to tape that down. Okay. That's better. Okay, I'm going to glue this right on top. So all I'm going to do is add some glue to these flaps that are peeking out. And then we're going to glue this on. Whoops. Make sure he's straight. Press that down really good. Mechanism works. And then we're going to pop this one up. So I just have some double-sided tape here. So I'm going to leave it as is. So now we have our little belly band mechanism that goes up and down. So I'm going to put that inside my journal. So these two will go in there. And then let me just show you a couple things that I have created that I'm going to put inside the journal. So I've made this little notepad. This is some paper that's left over from Look Unto Jesus, and I believe that's a devotional kit that I have. And so I just created this little folder with a writing pad inside. And then I also created a tall folder. I still have it laying back here, that I'm going to put in the back. So then we've got lots of writing. I wanted this to be writing. So I have tried to use all of the digitals from all of the kits that Carolyn has put out for Grace in the Fire. So I was trying to come up with ideas of what I could do to add things to it. So we've got these, so we can put these in. So now what I want to do is I have already added a bunch of pockets in here, but there's a couple things that I want to show you, and I have not covered the inside yet. So there's a couple things I want to show you. So there's envelopes in here, and you can do it, you could sew it in if you choose, and then you could leave this open to make it easier to get in items. But what I'm going to do is go ahead and glue this shut. Looks like I tried to make sure I inked everything, but I had forgotten. So I have used Faded Jeans Distress Oxide for all of this in this kit. I just thought it was perfect, brings out a little bit of the blue, and I'm not putting a ton of it on. Just kind of on the edges, just so that we don't get the white. So that's pretty much what I've done. So I thought I would add this envelope inside the journal, and then we could tuck stuff into it. So I'm going to go ahead and seal it shut. So I'm going to do just 3 sides and make this a pocket. Now you could do stenciling on some of the coffee dye paper that I put in here if you want to add some additional interest. And probably if I had a little bit more time, I might have done some of that. But since I didn't, I didn't. So, okay, so we've got that in here. And then, okay, we have this little guy. And I've already added the acetate. So all I want to do is close this up. Yeah. And then let me just ink a little bit. And I already have the acetate in there, so that makes it easier. And then this, you just fold this in half. Now you can glue it shut if you choose. I decided not to on some of these because I thought it would add extra writing space. And some people like to have additional writing space, and then some don't do much journaling. So it's your choice. Okay, so I'm going to just do a very thin bead of glue down this one side. Okay, so we did that, and this is 3 tabs, that go into this pocket, and it's a matching pocket to this page with the Bible. So I've already added that. Let's see, I've added some more pockets which will fill. Okay, so there's 2 of these, and they're envelopes to put together. So all you want to do is fold everything, add glue to this tab or the second piece tab, and then you want to glue this on top, just like that. And then open it back up and glue this down. At least that's the way I've been doing it, so that nothing sticks. And then I'm going to add some tape right to the bottom. And then that way when you slide something in, you won't have any problem. So do that, and then you can close it up. I thought I would put them like this, and then we'll do a little closure, but then it's easy to get the items out. So I'm going to go ahead and add some glue right here and here and close it up. And you can leave it open if you choose to and just have some kind of a closure. I'm probably going to use just a piece of the ephemera for that. Now you can also make this as a pocket that way. So I think that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to add glue here on 3 sides. And try and center it as best I can and press that down. Now you can add all kinds of little pieces in, and maybe some tags to stick out there. So there you go. And then we have this. So there was one back here that is a fold over the page. And so their pocket here, I glued it to where I had a pocket here. And then you have a pocket here. So this one is just a single one. It's not a flip. All you need to do is 3 sides on this top piece. You probably have done these before. Carolyn has had these in her kits before, but I thought I would just show there might be some new folks. And then I'm going to do 3 sides again, because I figured there's lots of room then to add tags. You can even add additional writing paper and fold it and tuck it behind these if you wish. Now these also, I believe it noted to glue them. I'm leaving them unglued because I used a light background, and so it gives additional writing space. So then I'm just going to tuck that in here. And then you've got the pocket behind. You can add other things to it. So you've got this here. So let's continue on. Okay, and then we have this one, which is a flip. And I'm going to glue it like this. So we have this on this side, and then we have this, and we can always add an additional decoration or something here. Boy, I didn't do a good job on making sure everything was inked. I spent a lot of time doing the ephemera and forgot some of the other pieces. So let me just quickly ink these. Now this is also, I think, something that you fold and glue, but I did not glue it. I'm going to tuck this in there, but there's writing space. And then it's going to go inside here. So the first thing we want to do, I have already added the acetate. And so we want to add the glue here. And Carolyn does a beautiful job adding all the information that we need when we're gluing something. And then I'm going to glue on the bottom. And close it shut. And give it a good press. And then I'll wrap it around this page. I love this page with the doily on it. I get these from Etsy. I think Pink Willow Paper is where I get these from on Etsy. I'm going to glue that down. And I'll probably cover this side with something, or maybe even add some paper clip or additional ephemera pieces. Not really sure yet, but we'll see. And then this will go right inside the pocket. I can get it in correctly. There we go. So then you can pull that out and journal on it. Okay, let's see. Pockets here that I've added. This is another pocket that matches the page. I did not ink this so that it would really blend in. That I did on purpose. Okay, what else do we have? Okay, here's another envelope pocket. It's been a while since I've done a really full journal, and I was giving a lot of thought to what I was going to do with all of these gorgeous kits from Carolyn. And I had one idea, and then I just decided to go for a regular journal, so that's what I did. Okay, and then we have this one, which is a CD, and I'm going to wrap it around this one here. So the first thing we need to do is close it up. Like so, and then let's glue that down. Okay, so we've got all of our flips and things inside now. So now we're going to do some additional decorating. All right, let's do the cover. So I have cut the window out, added some acetate to this, and then I used some puff tape and popped it up all the way around. And I want to put this here. And then I have these flowers that I think would look nice there. Lay not up for yourselves treasures upon earth, but lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven. Definitely want that to show. And then I have a couple of these butterflies, another one of these, and I thought I would put that maybe up here. And then I'm going to pop up this one. So let me just get a little bit of the puff tape. And again, you can add resin, glossy accents. I'm probably going to add some glossy accents to this after I get these all put on. So, and I think I'm going to pop this up. Why not? I think it'll be fun. Okay. I think it's going to go this way. That gives us some dimension. I like that. And then here's our spine where we added the flowers. Okay, I have added the papers on the inside covers. So these are from the vertical papers. I had some of these printed and I wasn't quite sure where I was going to use them. So I changed my mind on the closure because I don't really have room for an eyelid. So before this all completely dried, so think about this before, I pulled it up, added some glue, and added this curly ribbon. So on the back side, I'm going to do the same thing, but I'm going to put a piece of ephemera over the top of this. And I have lots of little pieces of ephemera here to choose from. So I thought what I would do is maybe add something like this. Or my refuge, my strength. And that way I'll hold down the ribbon in the back. So just kind of eyeball so I get this in the right spot. Okay, so we've got our ribbon closure. So now let's go back on the inside. So on the inside, we have the belly band to put on. So let's go ahead and do that. Use my art glitter glue for that one. And we're just going to glue the very top and the very bottom. So we want to make sure our mechanism works well. And glue that onto the page. Make sure it's straight. Maury, make sure it's straight. And then that should move freely, just like that. Okay, so let's make sure that's good and down. And then we have the other one that I put in here, right here. This one's just a tad, a little bit too long, but I'm still gonna, it'll peek out a tiny bit at the top and a tiny bit at the bottom, and I'm okay with that because it's not gonna hinder the journal at all. So just want to make sure I get it glued down and that our mechanism works. If you don't like that, you can always trim it off. I'm going to leave it. Maybe I'll even add a hidden paper clip or something. Not sure about down here. Actually, I'm just going to let this dry for right now. Then I'll decide later. And then I cut a piece from one of the other belly bands. And I'm going to go ahead and stick it onto the back of this, which is going to be what it slides into. And then figure out exactly, it's going to stick out the bottom just a tiny bit, but that's okay. I'm all right with that. I'm going to go ahead and add the glue to these little tabs. And put this in place. So it's going to stick out a little bit at the top and the bottom, but it's not going to make a problem, I don't believe. So I'm going to make sure I press these down really well and let this dry before I move the notepad in and out. But when you pull it out, then you'll have the page behind it, something good to look at. Okay, it's completely done. Again, I may go back and do some glossy accents, but I didn't. Quite frankly, I just loved everything in these kits that's what I wanted to use. So let me just show it to you. So this is a rounded spine. I have used muslin for my spine pieces, and on the outside I use some stamps. And then there's our fussy cuts from the kit that I added on. The cover is where I popped it up, and then I added these beautiful flowers. I thought they went well with it. Added these butterflies popped up, used one of the stem centers for here for the antenna. I added a little pearl here, and then I also added this curly ribbon. And so I share with you in there that I forgot to think about this because I was originally going to put eyelets and I didn't have enough space. So I went back in and I glued down the curly ribbon. So on the back, what I did is the same thing, and then I just put this piece of ephemera on here. My refuge, my strength. And that he is. So let's open it up on the inside. I did not go and add a lot of extra things to this. I used basically everything that I could in the kit. So I'm just going to go through this, and I have a couple pockets here that I haven't added anything to yet. There's a few more pieces I may add in, but I'll just show you all the things that I've done so far. So this is an envelope pocket that Carolyn puts together, and then it wraps around a page, and then I've just glued it on 3 sides and tucked in those note cards. Now these you can glue, but I left them open because I did a light color on the back. And then I'm just going to go through the pages. So I've got, this is from the writing part of the kit, and then this is from the journal part of the kit. This one I did the pocket sideways, added this tag, and then I added this tag here, letting go in faith. This is coffee dye paper I added to this. God doesn't always calm the storm, but he calms his child, and he does. So I added this envelope here. You can add things into it. I put this as a closure. More of the writing paper here. And then this is a little flip out. And then I added this here as a pocket. Tuck this card in here. This is some doily paper that I get off of Etsy. And then here I decided to put this little notepad on the inside. So there's a place for pockets, you can add things, and then there's this notepad in here. And I just used one of the belly bands from the kit, and then I just created a little holder for it here. Here we have the file folder style pocket, Bible pocket with these in here, and then even the wildest winds obey him. And then here is one of the interactive belly bands that we made, and then I just tucked this card underneath it. When you are in the midst of chaos, trust the one who walks on water. Just tuck that back in. More writing paper, and lots of writing space in here. Another pocket. I added 2 of these tags. More writing paper. Another envelope. I added some of the extra ephemera in, and I just tucked in these 2 tags. So I just glued it on 3 sides. This is so beautiful. Can a woman forget her sucking child, that she should not have compassion on the son of her womb? Yea, they may forget, yet will I not forget thee. So beautiful. More of the writing, and then another envelope pocket. Another one of these that I did not glue shut. So you have extra writing space. Tucks in there. More beautiful pages. Here is a flip with this card that is inside. Added a tab on the top. And on this side, I just used one of the tags and created a little tuck spot. More writing paper, more pockets, more tags. Try to fill up using everything. Here's another pocket that matches the page. And then I just tucked these in here. I glued the back part down, so I didn't make a pocket back here. That's really the only one I think I did that on. There's a pocket that matches the page here, so it's a little side pocket. Here is another one of the interactive belly bands. And then I added this, the calm of Christ cannot be shaken by the chaos of life. Tuck that in there. More writing. Here is the little notepad that I added, and I just tuck that in so it's got a little belly band slide thing in there, so you can slide that in or out and write on it. Here we have another one of the envelope pockets. I tucked a couple of tags in the back. Beautiful. Another one of these that opens up where you can have lots of writing. Another page. More of the writing page. And then here, another pocket. I just tucked in these pieces here. Another envelope that I added some extra butterflies from the Fussy Cut kit. Writing. Not Eagle Gorgeous. And then covered by his presents. So this is a CD envelope. Put this on this page here. Covered it a little bit with another piece of ephemera just to give it some character on this side. And then here is a pocket that matches the page, and then I tucked in some of the ephemera from the kit as well. Created a pocket back here and added these two cards. Lay your burden down. Lay down your burden. Let his peace rise. The calm of Christ cannot be shaken by the chaos of life. There's a couple of those. So that is my beautiful journal. I used some of the vertical papers on the inside covers, and then I added these sentiments. He leads me and quiet my heart. So that is my Grace in the Fire journal, using as much as I possibly could from all of the kits that Carolyn has put together. You can find Carolyn on Etsy. I will link these kits below for you. I will also link the video of how I show how to do the rounded spine. Go check out Carolyn's Etsy shop. She's on YouTube. Facebook group you can join, and that's One Way Journals. Okay guys, you have a great day. Thanks for joining me in this journey of this project. I hope you enjoy it, and we'll see you next time. Bye.